Hello everyone, and welcome to the second round of my best of 3 match against sameo15TheDragonTamer. If you guys watched the first video in this series, you'll know that I'm playing a Seismitoad Garbodor deck, and he's playing a Dialga Bronzong deck. He actually took the first match, so he gave me the option of choosing whether I wanted to go first or second, and I do believe I chose to go second, just because Seismitoad can get a turn 1 attack if you're lucky enough to get the DCE. So my opponent is going to start off with a Bronzor in the active and a Bronzor on the bench, along with a Dialga EX also on the bench there, and then we see an Ultra Ball for a Keldeo. That Keldeo also hits the bench, and it's going to get a Floatstone attached to it. My opponent then plays an N, so not too bad for me there. And then a Battle Compressor, probably going to get some metal energy into the discard pile, so he can start attacking, or attaching them, sorry, with Bronzong once it gets into play, his next turn, most likely. And then we see a rush in to Keldeo, a retreat into Dialga, and he cannot attack thanks to the ruling, or the rules as they currently stand. I will use a Starling Megaphone to get rid of that Floatstone off Keldeo, then play an N of my own. This hand is not too bad. I can potentially get a Garbodor up next turn if my opponent does nothing, but I don't get the DCE, which is kind of annoying. So I don't get to stop items from being played early, and that's really when you want to set up the lock. You want to set it up before any of those pesky support Pokemon can get set up. My opponent is going to play a Muscle Band on the active Dialga, put down a Steel Shelter, and then play a Sycamore. He's going to evolve one of his Bronzors, and then a second one of them, and then finally play an Aegislash-EX for a completely full bench. And now he's going to be using Metal Links to attach those metal energies from the discard pile onto one of his benched Pokemon. And it looks like he's favoring a Keldeo, so he can rush in with that and manually retreat by discarding 2 energies if he so wanted. And he just does that and ends his turn. So I get a Garbodor up here, thankfully, and I do have that Muscle Band that I can attach. But first I'm going to play down Veerbank City Gym, getting rid of his Steel Shelter, and I will play this Muscle Band. I'm debating whether or not to attach it to Seismitoad, but I decided to play it safe and put it on Garbodor, and then here I will not Sycamore, sorry. I will play Chorus here, because I didn't want to play Juniper. And I'm fortunate enough to get a Hammer here, an Enhanced Hammer, which gets rid of that DCE, and I also get another Megaphone, which I will play at a more opportune time right now. So I just end my turn. My opponent is going to play down a Steel Shelter again, so bumping out my Veerbank City Gym, and plays another Sycamore. So he's running through his deck rather quickly. I did notice that he was doing that last match, so his deck is really focused around speed, whereas mine is focused around trying to slow down your opponent. And then we see a Dowsing Machine going for a Zero Surik, I believe. I'm not sure how that is pronounced. One of the Team Flare guys. And here I still don't have any energies, but at least Ability Lock is in play, so no more Metal Links or rushing in. And now I can play that Starling Megaphone, and I'll play my N. So finally here I have a DCE. So I've been having real problems with this deck and consistency, so obviously I'm not married to this list that I'm currently playing at all, but I will play Quaking Punch for 30, and now item and Ability Lock is in place. So my opponent can manually attach a Metal Energy to his active Dialga, and then play an N. So he's not getting much here because he just passes. I get another Trubbish and another Seismitoad, both of which I will bench. And here I'll play a DCE onto that bench Seismitoad, and I'm going to play an Ultra Ball, getting rid of supporter there and an energy, and I will pull out my Yveltal EX and then Juniper the rest of my hand away. So with this, I can start using those hypnotoxic lasers once I can get rid of the stadium he has in play, since it prevents poisoning. He is going to attach a DCE and use Chrono Wind, which is an annoying attack for me because it prevents my active from doing anything. So in order to combat that, I really need to start dealing non-attack damage, i.e. some poison damage. There I go for the Shadow Triad for some reason with that VS Seeker. A bit premature on that play. It ends up serving me no purpose, so I can just use it to get back a Chorus, unfortunately. And yeah, that was a wasted play on my behalf. But here I do have a Muscle Band. I can attach it to the active, and because of Chrono Wind, I have to just pass my turn. I can't even use Quaking Punch. So now going into my opponent's turn, he sort of has me stuck right now, but I do play a Lysander in this deck and some Escape Ropes, which I hope to use to my advantage. He's going to attach another energy onto his active Dialga. He can choose to use his second attack here, but he will be discarding quite a few energies with no way of quickly attaching them thanks to abilities still being locked. But he does play a VS Seeker here, going for a Chorus, which will fetch him 10 cards. And we actually see him choose to Lysander. And he's going to bring up Garbodor, hit me with Full Metal Impact for 150 and the knockout. So here I'm debating what to promote. I decide to go for a Seismitoad here. It's going to be the most useful here because he can't readily power that Dialga up. I will attach to Yveltal, VS Seeker for Chorus, play that for 9, and I actually get a Garbodor here. So I can evolve my second Trubbish on the bench, and I'm back where I started, and I actually get an Enhanced Hammer that I can use to get rid of the energy he has in play on his active Pokemon. So now I will put down a second Yveltal, excuse me, and use Quaking Punch this time for 50 thanks to Muscle Band. And now both locks are back in play, and my opponent is stuck with no energy on his active. So that should hopefully slow him down. But then we see another DCE go down on his active Dialga, and another Chorus get played. So we both play Chorus, and we're both getting massive hands since our benches are quite full. The question here is if he plays a Switch or an Escape Rope, and it looks like he's just going to pass his turn. I can attach that Darkness energy I just got onto my benched Yveltal and play another Chorus. So I believe that's 4 turns with Chorus getting played. Maybe. I can finally put down a Veerbank City Gym and play a Laser. No sleep on that, but it's going to do increased damage, and I can Quaking Punch, and thanks to the poison, knockout occurs in between turns. And I get a Lysander and a Muscle Band off my prizes, so really good prizes there. My opponent decides to promote his Keldeo. It has 2 energies attached to it, so with 1 more he can attack, but he'll only be doing 50. That is my damage output as well, but for him he doesn't play anything that has the ability to poison, I believe. He is going to remove my Floatstone off of my Trubbish, or my Garbodor here, and that will allow him to use Metal Links. So he's attaching energy to Aegislash, so that can be quite annoying. Because Aegislash's ability, Mighty Shield, prevents all damage done from any Pokemon that has a special energy attached to it, and I do play DCEs to power up Seismitoad. So we see a manual retreat into Aegislash, and then a Slash Blast for 120 and the knockout. So here my opponent's going to take 2 prizes in the lead, and I'm going to promote my Yveltal EX. So I will attach a Muscle Band onto it, a Floatstone onto my Garbodor here, and then play teammates to get 2 cards out of my deck. I will choose a laser and a laser. So 2 lasers here, so I can play them in back-to-back turns. So here I am not getting the sleep, but I don't think it matters here. And I will first attach another energy onto that Eviltal and hit with Evil Ball for 200 damage and the knockout. So definitely overkill there. But now I think I have command of the board here. He's going to send up one of his benched Bronzongs as a sacrifice, it looks like. He can't really attack with Keldeo here since abilities are now off again, so he can't rush in, and Metal Lynx cannot power up Keldeo. So there's no realistic way of getting energy on it right now. But we do see a Battle Compressor, so 3 cards from his deck will hit the discard pile. It looks like an N and a few other things. At this point in time, the game wasn't allowing us to see each other's discard pile or even our own, so that was quite annoying, especially when his deck relies on discarding things or getting stuff out of the discard pile. So it puts us both at a disadvantage, but perhaps me at a greater one because I don't know exactly what he runs, whereas he does know what he runs. So we see an Ultra Ball here, gets rid of Chorus, it looks like, and another card. I don't know exactly what he could go for. Another Dialga or an Aegislash if he wants to attack with those. But I don't think he can get him powered up quickly enough to mount a counteroffensive, and it looks like he is going to concede the game, and I take match number 2. Thank you guys for watching.